Penn State has the most overrated uniforms in college football, dead stop. Let's talk best and worst looks in the Big Ten.
You are Locked On Badgers, your daily podcast on the Wisconsin Badgers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is going on, Badger fans? Welcome to Locked On Badgers, your team every single day. I'm your host, Ryan Harings. Thank you so much for tuning in, for joining us. For all the everydayers that watch every day, thank you as well for giving us a little bit of your time. Nothing's more valuable than that, so thank you as always. Today's episode brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. All right, let's get into it. I kind of like uniforms because uniforms tie into the fabric of what college football is, of what college sports are, right? They're unique, they're iconic, they're tradition-filled when done correctly. They tie into college sports, right? They're part of the pageantry of it. They're part of the uniqueness of each university. You know, pro sports, the uniforms are just all kind of meh. It feels corporate. It feels, to some degree, engineered. Like there's some great professional sports logos and uniforms. Like the Bulls have a great logo. You know, we don't need to get into every logo. The Cowboys have a great look, obviously. But the college looks are so good because they're diverse, unique, tied to tradition. I want to talk a little bit about the best looks in the Big Ten, the best and worst. Who are the 5 best looks in the Big Ten? Who has the 5 worst? I want to start with what I talked about in the lead, Penn State. And I'm going to get to you in a second in terms of where you rank. That's the most overrated uniform. And I've said this on Twitter before. I've had people push back. It is what it is. This is my opinion. It's the most overrated uniform in college sports. It might be the most overrated uniform in the world, right? Yeah, I'm talking like professional uniforms, UPS, whatever it is. Penn State, like every time, go ahead and Google. I mean, test this. Google best uniforms in college football. And Penn State's almost universally given a top 10 spot, top 5 spot. The classic look, the classic colors. Malarkey. Absolute malarkey. They only get a spot because they're a blue blood, and people feel like they have to give them that spot because it's groupthink. Everybody thinks they have a great uniform and they know they're iconic, so you got to give them a spot. They look like a MAC school. They look like an art project that wasn't finished, like something I would have done in high school. Like, hey, we need you to design a uniform and this is due. I would have been like, all right, I'm just going to draw a helmet and leave it white. Is that fine? Can I just get a C on this and be done so I can go play basketball? And the teacher's like, yeah, sure, I guess. You're not going to get a great grade because you literally did nothing. There's nothing here. It's just a blank slate. I'm like, yeah, it's fine. That's the color combination I'm going to go with, and I'm done. I mean, it's so overrated. It's a good color scheme. I get it. If they weren't good, if they weren't Penn State, nobody would pick them out of a lineup of any other uniform and say that's a good look, right? If you did this police style and you lined up like 5 uniforms and you had some non-college football fan come in and say, hey, pick what's the best uniform in here, and you had Penn State in that lineup, ain't nobody picking Penn State out of that lineup because they're nondescript, they're boring, they're unfinished, marvelously overrated. Like that PR machine behind the Penn State iconic uniform look should get raises. Anyway, let's talk about what my 5 favorite looks in the Big Ten are. Kick it off with number 5, Michigan State. I think they do it really well. I think the green and white works. I love the Spartan logo, right? That Spartan helmet with I don't even know what you call that mohawk thing they have on top of it, but it works really well. I like the color combo. It's never too busy. So now all these schools have alternates, right? I'm not really getting into it, but even their alternates I've thought for the most part have been pretty good. They have a leg stripe. Sometimes I think it's a little wonky, but I think Michigan State's clean. I like the look. The logo's pretty iconic. It's unique. I think they do Ancient Warrior way better than USC Trojans. I think the Spartan look is way cleaner, less busy. I love it. I think Michigan State number 5. Oregon, I have number 4. I know some people aren't going to like that because they have so many looks, right? But ultimately, just about every look they have, I kind of like. It's not universal, but it's okay to have a bunch of different looks if you're kind of crushing all the different looks. The color scheme, that kind of green and yellow, actually, I think works really well. I like when they get kind of the feathers on the helmet. I think that's a really clean, nice, fun look. Yes, they're super busy. At times, the colors are abrasive. I think they pull it off. And I think they pull it off. You almost have to give them more credit. I know people will push back and say, no, you shouldn't have them on this list because they have so many different looks. It's all over them. I also want to give them more credit because I think most of their looks hit. I really do. So I got Oregon at number 4 coming into the Big Ten. I think they have I love the color combo. I like what they do with the helmets typically. Number 4. Number 3, I've got UCLA. And again, in the comments, let me know who your favorite looks in the Big Ten are. UCLA, I think, is so clean. I love the script UCLA on the helmet. The color scheme is like perfect. It's that kind of light blue. Another school coming into the Big Ten that I think is bringing one of the best looks into that Big Ten. Not the best program. This is another example of if UCLA was more of a blue blood in football, like everyone would rave about this uniform more than they do. I just think it's such a good, clean, nice look. It's not too busy. They don't mess around with the helmet. Everyone recognizes that UCLA kind of cursive look on the helmet. Color scheme is perfect. UCLA at number 3. Number 2, this is one I think a lot of people disagree with, but I have Iowa. I think that it's kind of Pittsburgh Steelery. In fact, I think at some point they kind of got permission from the Steelers to borrow that look, but it's a great look. Like, it's a great look. Listen, black and yellow is football colors, and it's so Iowa. It's so that logo is what sets it off, right? That Hawkeye on the helmet, which is just weird and unique and nothing else like it. Like, uniqueness gets style points here. You get a bonus for it. I think their helmet is great. I think the logo is great. I think the color scheme's great. I've got Iowa at number 2. And I know some people push back on that, but the whole look seems so Iowa too, right? You almost get bonus points for it just kind of feels black and bluish, black and yellow. You know, the logo's not pretty, but it looks kind of fierce and tough. It's so Iowa, complete Iowa. So you almost got to give them bonus points there. And number 1 is Michigan. The look is so good. You can hate Michigan. You can hate the fans. You can hate the pompousness. You can hate the arrogance. You can hate the fact that they kind of cheated and malarkeyed their way to that win, that run last year. At least that was my opinion. I felt like there's some nonsense going on over there. But the look, it's so clean. It's so college football. Listen, there's probably like 5 or 6 helmets in college football where non-college football fans know it, right? They know that look because they've watched enough ESPN or they've seen it in places. Michigan's one of those helmets, right? Who else is maybe Georgia, Ohio State with the when they get the pride stickers on is probably on that list. Maybe an LSU, definitely Notre Dame is definitely on that list, but there's not a lot. Maybe Florida State with the iconic Seminole spear. There's not a lot of super iconic helmets that are recognized across the breadth of not just sports, but sports and culture where that intersection hits. Michigan's one of those helmets. That winged helmet is incredible. The color scheme's awesome. They got the Jordan brand. Everything hits with them. Everything hits with them. I think that's a great look. So that's my top 5, right? I've got Michigan State, Oregon, UCLA, Iowa, and Michigan. A couple other schools that I really do like that didn't make my top 5. Wisconsin. I think the Wisconsin look is good. I know there's going to be people that push back. Listen, I put this out on Twitter. Vitaly Pasetsky, kicker for the Badgers in 1999-2000. He said he gave me his list. Wisconsin was in his list. Wisconsin's got a really good look. It's better than Nebraska. I like the motion W. It's more recognizable. It's more unique. I like the color scheme. Some of the alternates are a little wonky. But Wisconsin's got a really good look. I just don't think it's in that top 5, right? I don't think it's quite as clean or as nice as some of the others. I really like Purdue. I like Purdue's look. I think the black and gold, those are football colors. I like how they incorporate the railroad tracks at times. I don't think it's too busy. I like Purdue's look. And then Ohio State, I think, has a really iconic look too with the silver helmets, the pride stickers. I think the color scheme works. Again, I think they're a uniform Ohio State that gets more credit probably because they're a blue blood. I don't think it's an elite uniform, but I do like it. All right, we're going to take a break there, come back with who's in the bottom 5 in the Big Ten, in my opinion, including those chuckleheads over the border. We're going to talk about that next on Locked On Badgers, but first, a quick break for our friends of the show over at eBay Motors. eBay Motors is the number one source for all of your sports. eBay Motors is the number one source for everything you need for your car parts. Whether you need pieces for the audio system, whether you need something for the rims, whether you need something for the heating and cooling system, keep your ride or die alive at the best place to buy all your automotive parts. They have over 122 million parts. I've talked about it. It's incredible. You listen, they have all the parts you need, and you don't have to leave the comfort of your home. You don't have to do anything you need. Just go to eBay Motors, keep your ride or die alive. All the parts you ever need, save time, save money, get a better selection, get the right parts the first time. It's incredible. You're not going to want to go anywhere else if you're a gearhead, or if you just need some accessories to soup up your ride. Maybe you're trying to, show off, improve the street cachet a little bit. Whatever you're trying to do for your ride or die, go do it over at eBay Motors. The right parts, the right fit, the right prices. eBay Guaranteed Fit is only available to U.S. customers. Exclusions do apply over at ebaymotors.com. All right, let's get into the bottom 5 of my list here, right? The not so great looks, in my opinion. And again, feel free to agree, disagree with any of this. Let me know what your list is. Let's go number 14 in the Big Ten, right here. I have Penn State. I talked about it. I don't think they're the worst uniform in the Big Ten. I'm not trying to be clickbaity and say they're the worst thing ever. I do think they're the most overrated uniform in college football, bar none. They're not terrible, right? I like the color scheme's clean. The helmet is iconic, but it's iconic because it's Penn State. It's not iconic because it's a good look or a unique look. I still think it's boring. I think it's tied to the program's tradition, and it's the only reason it's liked. It's whatever. It's very meh. Again, if you put them in a lineup, nobody's going to pick them out and say, wow, that's a great look. No, they're going to that one's unfinished. I would rather have Wyoming's uniform. By the way, Wyoming's uniform is pretty clean. Got the cowboy on the helmet, bucking Bronco. Yeah, that one works. That one's clean. That's a better uniform than Penn State. This is my whole point. It's just a trash program, so nobody talks about it. There's a lot of better uniforms than Penn State. They just belong to trash programs. Number 15, I have Northwestern. It's a tough color scheme. Purple, you can pull it off. I don't think Northwestern does a great job of it. I don't know what else they could do. Also, I know this isn't really a ranking of alternate uniforms, that kind of thing, but when they get into their Gothic face, it's with the Gothic lettering and more the black. I think that's a major miss. That's not a good look at all. The Northwestern logo is just that kind of block end. It's fine. I think it's just kind of fine. It's just kind of whatever. Not a huge fan of Northwestern's look. It's okay. It's not the easiest color scheme to go with, but I don't think they do a ton with it. 16, I got Indiana. I like the logo's okay. Everything else just feels very cookie cutter, right? It feels like ChatGPT 1.0 designed it, where it's just this kind of works. It's whatever. It's very bland. It's very blah. There's nothing there really to write home about. Indiana, I've got at 16. And number 17, we have the Gophers. First of all, I don't like the color scheme. I don't like Minnesota anyway, but I don't like the color scheme. I don't like the oversized logos when they put the giant M on the helmet or the giant goofy gopher face. It's just ridiculous. So I don't think the color schemes work. I don't think their alternates work. I don't like the oversized logos. And then ultimately what tips it off, when they put the giant oar on the helmet, or they put the row the boat stuff, it just screams don't do that. I mean, fine, do it because you're Minnesota, but don't do that. Your coach isn't bigger than your program. And I understand the genesis of row the boat. I understand that came out of personal loss from PJ Fleck, but bro, you're a Big Ten program. You don't need to shill out for a coach with some cachet. Luke Fickell Wisconsin would never be putting Luke Fickell's personal brand on a helmet, right? Real programs don't do that. It's gimmicky. It's weird. He's not bigger than the program, and he's never really won anything there. Why are you letting him decorate the helmet with his personal life mottos? Luke Fickell wouldn't do that, and Wisconsin wouldn't want him to do that. So I don't know. I think it's gimmicky. It's weird. I don't like what they've done with that. Go back to the basics. Get rid of the giant goofy gopher head. Get rid of the oars. Get rid of the row the boat on the uniform. That's not who your university is. Right? You're not PJ Fleck University. You're the Minnesota Gophers. Stop acting like a substandard Big Ten program. Stop being embarrassing. Number 18, I got Rutgers. There's just nothing there, right? The birthplace of college football, it feels like your uniforms haven't evolved since the birth of college football. It's just there's nothing. You're the Scarlet Knights. Yeah, I would have liked more incorporation with that. That block R and that color scheme, it's all just kind of boring and blah and whatever. So that's my bottom 5 in the Big Ten. I got Penn State, just boring, blah, crazy overrated. Northwestern, tough color scheme. Just don't do the Gothic alternates. 16, Indiana. 17, Minnesota. because you've like bowed down to PJ Fleck. Like, stop it. Like, you're a real program, even though we give you crap. Like, it's just so weird to me. 18 is Rutgers. Super boring. Others I don't really love. A lot of people love USC's uniforms. I'm curious let me know. I don't like their uniforms. I think it's a little too busy. I think the Trojan on the helmet is kind of hard to make out. Like, you want logos to be clear, like iconic. You almost want logos simple enough that your sixth grader could draw them, right? And you look at if you weren't a fan of college football and you just caught a quick glance of that USC logo and then ask someone, hey, what was that? They'd be like, spaghetti strands strung together. I don't really know. I don't think it's clear. I don't love the color scheme. It's too busy. So USC and then Maryland. I don't dig Maryland's uniform. I don't dig their state flag. It feels like color vomit a little bit. Not the biggest fan. So that is my bottom 5 over there. All right, we're going to take a quick break, come back. Wisconsin offered Amari Allen, big-time basketball prospect. We're going to talk a little bit about his game, where he might fit into Wisconsin, why he would be a really good fit for Greg Gard. We're going to do that next on Locked On Badgers. But first, a quick break for our friends of the show. And this is a big one. This is a big, big one for the Badgers to get in on. So we're going to talk about that next. All right, let's talk about Amari Allen. Amari Allen, so 6'7" wing, top 100 player in the country, 2025 class, 6'7", 180 out of IMG Academy, Bradenton, Florida. Badgers have gotten guys from there before. Aleem Ford was an IMG guy. I think everybody kind of knows that name, but originally from Wisconsin, right? So this is originally a Wisconsin kid, came like a lot of players went down to IMG to try to improve the stock, improve the visibility. Wisconsin offered. Big-time offer, top 100 kid, 4-star player. Rivals and On3 both have him as a top 70 player. I think Rivals has him at like 56 in the country. Easily a 4-star kid. What do we like about the game? Amari Allen. Great bounce, right? Really, really athletic player. Not like a crazy athlete, but plays above the rim. A lot of offensive skill. So Amari Allen, you're looking at him, you're seeing a secondary playmaker, beating people off the dribble, making passes. He can be thinking of a Badger comp for him. Let me think on that for a second. Can use both hands, can get to the rim. This is a player who has the ability to hit jumpers, both deep and at mid-range, can use both hands, finish at the rim. Pretty good defender, right? Just a lot of steals and deflections in his game. Somebody that gets out in transition. Like, the transition clips of him are really impressive. Coming downhill and either finding a shooter in the perimeter or getting all the way to the cup. Again, utilizing both hands, right? So he has a unique offensive skill set for his age. The ability to pass, shoot, and score at the rim. Like, that's what you're looking for. This is modern basketball, right? This is modern basketball finding wing athletes. And then you look at the Badgers. What is, if you really break down, where is Greg Gard and his staff excelled, and where have they maybe come up a little bit short in recruiting? It's wing athletes. Like, it is a big spot, maybe even front court athletes, but wing athletes, they've struggled finding those type of guys out of the high school ranks. You know, there's more skill that they get typically, more shooters that they get, but finding the wing athletes has been a little more difficult. Now, they've done that a little bit more in the transfer portal, right, to be fair, but coming out of high school ranks, you got to get those guys that can be athletic at the wing, that can defend at the wing. AJ Storr is kind of that guy, but again, he came out of the portal. This is the type of player who can come in. He should be able to defend in the Big Ten on the wing. He should be able to score from the wing in the Big Ten, and gives you that athleticism that this Badger team, if you're looking at the roster, they're still lacking a little bit, right? There's still gaps on here. There's more shooting and more skill, but who are the best athletes on this team? There's Xavier Amos is definitely a good athlete, but there's still a shortage of wing athletes. Daniel Freitag's a great athlete, but he's a point guard. You need more of these guys, these 6'7", 6'6" wings that are 180. He has a great body. He's lanky. He's going to fill out more. I'm definitely excited to see this. We'll see where this recruitment goes. But this is the type of athlete Wisconsin needs to target. They probably should have targeted and offered earlier, just my opinion. But they wanted to see him play. They did. They offered. From what we've heard, this is probably going to be a battle Wisconsin's going to be in on. And these are the type of players they need to get after, right? They need to add athletes. They need to add scorers. They need to add people who can get up and down in transition. So Amari Allen is definitely that type of guy. So we're going to track that offer. Definitely let me know in the comments, who are your top 5 and the bottom 5 looks in the Big Ten? Am I way off base with Penn State being incredibly overrated? Should Wisconsin be a top 5 look? Let me know on Wisconsin. We will definitely talk tomorrow.